Welcome, you're watching the F1 Guy, and we're talking Baku Grand Prix qualifying session for the round 17 Grand Prix take place tomorrow, Sunday. Well, it was an interesting build up to this qualifying session. Crashes in FP1 for Charles Leclerc and Colapinto, and then we've got the crash in FP3 for new man Ollie Berman, who's taking Kevin Magnussen's seat. Penalties ahead of the session. Zhou Guan Yu will start last. He had a power unit change, so no matter where he qualified, he would start last. And let's just jump straight to Q3, the big shock. We've been talking it all up. The Lando, Norris, Piastri, McLaren team orders scenario, the challenge for the Drivers' World Championship, and it couldn't got any worse for the championship contender, could it? Let's start Q1. Esteban Ocon out. P20 last on his final run. He touched the wall, got a puncture, and well, it was as a result of him trundling along slowly on the last laps that cost Lando Norris ultimately in the end. Zhou Guanyu qualified in 19th, he'll start last tomorrow. Bottas in 18th, that's just where the Sauber is at this moment in time. And 17th place, Lando Norris, the man that is meant to be taking the challenge to Max Verstappen. Well, he's got an awful big job to do tomorrow. Really unlucky with the yellow flag flashing up. I mean, he didn't have the best run out of that last corner either way. A yellow flag that flashed for all of a couple of seconds. McLaren taking it up with the FIA to clarify why that yellow flag was there. The query is it should have just been a white flag. Allowed to carry on just to let them know that a slow moving car is on track. Didn't really quite need the yellow, especially for all of 2 seconds. It was the timing, just really bad luck for Lando Norris. And yeah, he had to lift, as simple as that, and that really cost him. And to start so far back, the only good thing for him here is that it's a track he can overtake, and boy, he's got a lot of overtaking to do tomorrow. Daniel Ricciardo rounds out the knockouts in Q1. Top P16 start for him. Alex Albon was a star for Williams in that session. A P2, it finished Leclerc first, Albon second, and Piastri third in that session. And yeah, the run continued for Williams, didn't it, from there onwards. Q2 out, 15th place, Lance Stroll, Hülkenberg 14th, Gasly 13th, Yuki Tsunoda 12th, and Ollie Berman 11th. It's been a brilliant rookie session for the rookies, hasn't it? Ollie Berman beats Nico Hülkenberg. Fantastic job from him. Haas now, well, they've got Kevin Magnussen in that car, who hasn't got a race seat with them next season. It's going to Ollie Berman, and with a performance like that, they surely might be looking just to say, can we work a way around and get Ollie in the car for the rest of the season? He's going to be with the team from next season. It'll be perfect for him to just embed in the team with like this scenario. And well, with performances like that, are fantastic. Nico Hülkenberg, no doubt, has been the qualifying man. So to beat him is no mean feat. It's absolutely a brilliant job so far. I just hope you can continue that in the race. They'll be disappointed overall with the Haas, won't they, in that session? They're probably the two disappointing teams, because they look like all the way through free practice that they'd be in the top 10. And to Ollie Berman just finishing out the side of that, but Nico Hülkenberg P14, really disappointing from him. The star in that session, Colapinto, P6 in that Williams, somewhat justifying his seat in that team, taking that one off Logan Sargent. Already like showing the performance, a really good job from him. The only disappointing bit is he's had a crash already, which is probably the big reason why he's in that car. Max Verstappen led the way with the resurgence of the Red Bull in that session. Leclerc second and Perez third, and it looked like Red Bull were back on it, but it all changed in Q3. Charles Leclerc with a Sector 2 is just out of this world. A brilliant pole lap. He'll start in first place tomorrow. And well, Ferrari are back. Charles Leclerc putting them right in contention. If they can finish the way the grid finishes now, Ferrari are right back in it in the terms of a chance to win the Constructors' Championship. Charles Leclerc, in terms of the drivers, still got an awful way too much to do, but anything is possible when we see where the Red Bull ended up. And yeah, Ferrari's race pace did look strong in free practice, so they've, McLaren have got a job to do tomorrow. Oscar Piastri probably did the best he could in that McLaren, a P2. Charles Leclerc is an absolute specialist around here, 3 pole positions. So to beat him would have been, something special. Can Leclerc finally turn a pole position into a win? Tomorrow looks like one of his best chances, doesn't it? Because Oscar, we know on his day, can be absolutely phenomenal. And the McLaren is probably one of the strongest cars, but the Ferrari have got it right with these upgrades in race pace. They showed that in Monza, and so really he can pull it off tomorrow. 3rd place, Carlos Sainz shows the strong resurgent pace of the Ferrari. He came on and said probably the best he could do, probably better than he hoped for. He doesn't like this circuit. Race pace looks strong, and he's really happy with that P3. Lines up on the cleaner side of the grid behind his teammate, and will be hoping to get the jump on Oscar Piastri. The McLaren hasn't always been a great starter, especially what we've seen with Lando Norris, and so be hoping he can line up a 1-2 for Ferrari early on, and then control the race, both of them from there, and control strategy. All eyes on Ferrari now to not mess this strategy call up from the positions that their drivers have put them in for the race tomorrow. P4 for Sergio Perez, and well, finally he beats Max Verstappen. The circuit that, well, kept him on the grid, really, isn't it? Christian Horner somewhat justified with a better Perez performance. He finally out-qualifies Max Verstappen. He said he would, trusted Perez to come good in the circuits that he's good at and strong at coming up next, and this is definitely one of them. He did look like the better of the 2 Red Bulls pretty much for most of the weekend, and he confirmed the same in qualifying. George Russell, 5th place. Decent session from Mercedes. They looked strong coming up into qualifying. Russell was fastest in FP3, but when it come to qualifying, they just didn't ever look like they would be nicking pole position. A good few tenths off in the end. Max Verstappen lines up 6th and be hoping to at least beat the Mercedes ahead of him. I'm sure there'll be team orders in play for him to then move ahead of at least Perez if he's the Ferraris and McLaren have out of sight, but it's very much damage limitation, and with Lando Norris so far back, he'd probably sleep a little bit easier, knowing that had it been Norris in 2nd place, he'd be even more disappointed because that'd be points out of his championship. He'll just be hopeful that he can keep Norris behind if he's on an absolute charge tomorrow. Lewis Hamilton, 7th place, continues his poor qualifying form. Early doors he looked like he'd be on for a decent qualifying session, but then ultimately falls down again, and in Q3 he just never seems to get that ramp up that other drivers do, and he'd be disappointed with that. Fernando Alonso in 8th place, probably better than that he'd hoped for in that Aston Martin. A decent session from him, and the stars of the session, Franco Colapinto beats his more experienced teammate and lines up in 9th place. Yes, Alex Albon, who'll line up in 10th place, didn't get his final run. A really big mistake for the team, leaving a fan in the top of the airbox, which we had to pull out and throw out on track. Had he just managed to do that 4 or 5 seconds earlier, he might have just made it round. He missed out on the line for his last run, Alex Albon, by 3 seconds or so. So really disappointing from him and the team, where they were on for a really good points haul, a really good session overall, though they've not been in the top 10 for quite some time, so the upgrades have continued to work here. A brilliant session from them. Some points potentially on the card, and they'll be hopeful that they can stay there tomorrow, and well, it should be brilliant tomorrow. Ferrari have got it all to do now. They've got 2 Ferraris, the upper hand really in terms of strategy. They can split strategy if they need to. It's 2 Ferraris against the 1 McLaren of Oscar Piastri. It'd be a mouth-watering, a big job for Lando Norris tomorrow. He really needs to show he's got the mettle to come back through the field and quickly, and then try and do what he can to bring home some solid points. And it was a session for the rookies, really, wasn't it? Franco Colapinto beats the more experienced Alex Albon, and Ollie Berman beats Nico Hülkenberg. The rookies doing both really shining, a fantastic job from the pair of them. And well, the grid is set, looking brilliant. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton line up on the grid together. Ferrari, McLaren, Ferrari. It looks really, really interesting. We should see Lando Norris flying through the grid tomorrow. I cannot wait for the race. We've said this so many times after qualifying recently, because the cars are just that so much better and closer together, and it looks like anybody can win it from here. I am struggling to find a winner. I did predict Charles Leclerc to be on pole. He's nicked it again. A fantastic job from him. But there we have it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment. As always, see you next time.